The gathering storm. On the distant planet of Vorthen, dark clouds loomed over the once vibrant cities, casting shadows that whispered of despair. Vorthen was home to the Zorethians, a proud and noble race known for their deep connection to nature and their advanced technology. But now, their beautiful planet was under siege. An army of ruthless aliens, the Vexari, had invaded, intent on conquering Vorthen and stripping it of its resources. The Zorethians had fought bravely, but their forces were dwindling. In the Great Hall of Eldara, the central city, the alien leader, Commander Thaler, stood at the front of a gathering of resistance fighters. Their faces were drawn with exhaustion, and fear lingered in their eyes. Thaler felt the weight of his people's hopes resting heavily on his shoulders. "Friends," he began, his voice steady but filled with urgency, "we are at the brink of defeat. The Vexari grow stronger every day, and our people suffer. We must find a way to turn the tide." A murmur of agreement rippled through the hall. The Zorethians were skilled warriors, but the Vexari were relentless. They had advanced weapons and technology that made them nearly unstoppable. Thaler looked around the room, seeing the weariness etched on the faces of his comrades. He knew they needed help, but where could they turn? Thaler's mind raced with possibilities. Then he remembered the ancient legends of Earth, a planet known for its fierce warriors and incredible ingenuity. Stories of humans had traveled through the stars, tales of bravery and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. Could it be possible that humans could help them in their time of need? Gathering his thoughts, Thaler addressed the room once more. "I propose a daring plan. We must reach out to Earth and ask for their aid. We have nothing to lose. If we do not try, we will surely perish." The room fell silent as the resistance fighters exchanged glances. It was a bold idea, but fear mingled with hope. Would the humans even respond? And if they did, could they truly help? One brave warrior named Callan stood up, her eyes shining with determination. "Commander Fiddler, I believe we should take that chance. The legends of humans are filled with stories of their courage. We owe it to our people to try," she said, her voice strong and unwavering. With a nod of agreement, Thaler began to organize a team to send a message to Earth. They worked tirelessly, using their remaining technology to construct a communication device powerful enough to reach the distant planet. As the device hummed to life, a flicker of hope ignited within Thaler's heart. Days turned into nights as the Zorethians waited anxiously for a response. Thaler often found himself gazing out over the desolate landscape, the once lush fields now scorched and barren. He thought of his ancestors, who had fought to protect their home, and he knew he could not let their legacy fade away. Finally, as dawn broke on the 6th day, the communication device crackled to life. Thaler rushed to the console, his heart pounding with anticipation. The screen flickered, and a voice emerged, clear and resolute. "This is Captain Emma Reynolds of the United Earth Forces. We have received your message. Tell us how we can assist." Thaler's heart soared. Humans had answered. He quickly explained their dire situation, the relentless assault by the Vexari, and the urgent need for assistance. Captain Reynolds listened intently, her expression serious yet filled with understanding. "We will send a team to your planet," she replied. "Humanity has faced great challenges, and we understand the cost of war. We will do our best to help you fight back against the Vexari." Relief washed over Thaler as he transmitted his gratitude. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, the fire of hope kindling within him and his people. For the first time in weeks, they had a glimmer of light piercing through the darkness. As preparations began for the humans' arrival, the Zorethians fortified their defenses, gathering weapons and training their remaining fighters. The sense of camaraderie among the resistance grew stronger. They were not alone in this fight. They had allies coming to their aid. Commander Thaler gathered the fighters once more, sharing stories of human bravery and resilience, urging them to hold on to hope. He spoke of unity, of fighting not just for their survival, but for a future where they could thrive once again. The fighters, once weary and defeated, began to feel the spark of determination reignite within them. As they prepared for the humans' arrival, a new bond began to form, one that transcended their differences and united them in a common cause. Together, they would face the Vexari, and together, they would fight for their freedom. "It is our home," Kellen replied, stepping closer, "and we will do whatever it takes to defend it. We've been pushed to the edge, but with your help, we can reclaim what is ours." Feller led the humans to the old fortress, where they would plan their strategy against the Vexari. As they walked through the ancient stone hallways, the Zorathians shared their knowledge of the enemy, details about their weapons, battle tactics, and weaknesses. In the war room, the humans began to assess the situation. They studied the maps, listening carefully as Thaler and Callan explained the recent battles and the areas under threat. "I suggest a multi-pronged approach," Lieutenant Thompson proposed, his finger tracing the Vexari positions on the map. "We can use hit-and-run tactics to disrupt their supply lines, while also mounting a direct assault on their base. It's risky, but it could work if we coordinate our efforts." Feller nodded, impressed by the humans' strategic thinking. "Yes, we will need to be swift and precise. Together, we can outsmart the Vexari and reclaim our territory." As the planning session continued into the night, the atmosphere buzzed with energy and hope. Each soldier, both human and Zorathian, felt the thrill of purpose coursing through them. They were no longer just individuals from different worlds. They were allies bound by a common goal. The storm that had threatened to destroy Vorthen was beginning to shift. With humanity's arrival, hope blossomed in the hearts of the Zorathians, and together they would face the challenges ahead. United, they would fight for their home, their freedom, and their future. The first strike. With the dawn of a new day on Vorthen, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Commander Thaler, Captain Reynolds, and their assembled forces gathered in the war room, ready to finalize their strategy for the upcoming battle against the Vexari. As sunlight streamed through the ancient fortress windows, illuminating the room, hope filled the air. Today would mark the first real test of their alliance. "Listen closely," Thaler began, his voice steady and commanding. "The Vexari are expecting us to remain on the defensive. They believe we are weakened and demoralized. We will surprise them with a coordinated attack." Captain Reynolds stepped forward, her expression serious. "Our goal is to hit them hard and fast. We'll use the element of surprise to disrupt their operations. I suggest we split our forces into 3 groups. Group 1 will create a diversion at the eastern front, drawing attention away from our main strike force in the south. Group 2 will support Group 1 and flank the Vexari," Lieutenant Thompson added. "Meanwhile, Group 3 will be our main assault team, led by Commander Thaler and myself. We'll push directly into their base and take out their command center." The room hummed with agreement as the plan took shape. The Zorathians, armed with their advanced technology and natural agility, would blend seamlessly with the humans' disciplined tactics and firepower. As they prepared to set out, Fowler could sense the adrenaline coursing through his soldiers. This was not just a battle for survival, it was a fight for their future. Before the teams deployed, Callan approached Thaler, her eyes filled with determination. "We need to ensure that our fighters understand the stakes. They must know that this is not just about defeating the Vexari. It's about reclaiming our home and our way of life." Feller nodded, appreciating her passion. "You're right. Let's gather everyone for a final briefing. They need to feel our unity and the strength of our cause." As the resistance fighters and human soldiers assembled outside the fortress, Thaler spoke passionately. "Today, we stand as one. We are not just Zorathians and humans. We are allies fighting for freedom. The Vexari may outnumber us, but we have something they do not: heart and determination. Together, we will show them that we will not back down." A chorus of cheers erupted as warriors raised their weapons, the sound echoing off the ancient stones. The Zorathians and humans exchanged confident glances, the bond of friendship and trust deepening with each moment. The 2 teams set off toward the Vexari stronghold, moving swiftly through the lush forests that once thrived before the invasion. Feller led the main assault team, his senses heightened as they approached the enemy's territory. He could feel the weight of their mission pressing down on him, but he also felt a fierce determination to protect his people. Feller turned to his team, gathering everyone for a brief meeting. "Listen up, everyone. We have taken the first step in our fight for freedom, but the Vexari will not give up easily. We need to prepare for their inevitable return. Our next goal is to establish a secure perimeter around our stronghold and communicate with other resistance factions across Forthen." As they dispersed to begin their tasks, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the Zorethians and humans. They worked side by side, sharing stories of past struggles and victories, building connections that went beyond mere alliance. Meanwhile, Kellen, the skilled Zorethian engineer, was busy gathering her team to work on fortifying their base. "We need to enhance our defenses if we're going to withstand a counterattack," she said, rallying the Zorethians and humans alike. "Let's work together to create a system of barriers and traps that will give us an advantage." "Great idea," Lieutenant Thompson replied, his enthusiasm evident. "I can help coordinate with our engineers to improve our weapon systems as well. We can't rely solely on our current technology." As the days turned into a week, the sound of construction filled the air. Makeshift barriers rose from the ground, reinforced by both Zorethian technology and human ingenuity. The soldiers trained rigorously, exchanging tactics and strategies to maximize their effectiveness. During this time, Feller and Reynolds frequently met to discuss their progress. "We've received word from several resistance factions across Forthen," Reynolds informed him one evening as they reviewed maps of their territory. "They're inspired by our victory and willing to join forces, but they need our support to help push back the Vexari in their regions as well." Feller leaned over the map, tracing his finger along the routes they could take. "Then we need to prepare a convoy and assist them. We must unite our forces, share our resources, and strengthen our ties. If we spread hope, we can turn the tide of this war." Just then, a scout burst into the tent, breathless and wide-eyed. "Commander, Captain, we've spotted Vexari scouts approaching from the north." The news sent a chill through the room. The Vexari were indeed regrouping, and their response would not be long in coming. Feller quickly gathered his team, formulating a plan. "We'll split our forces into two. One will engage the Vexari scouts to slow their advance, while the other prepares for the main attack." Reynolds stepped forward, her face set with determination. "I'll lead the main force. We need to protect our base at all costs." Feller nodded, trusting her judgment. "And I'll take the scout team. We must cut off their communication and prevent them from reporting back. We cannot allow them to gather their strength." As they prepared to move out, the tension was palpable. Each warrior felt the weight of their mission, knowing that this encounter could shift the course of the battle. They armed themselves and gathered their courage, ready to confront the enemy. Under the cover of darkness, Feller's team stealthily advanced toward the Vexari scouts. Using the terrain to their advantage, they moved silently, their hearts pounding in rhythm with the crunch of leaves beneath their feet. The distant glow of campfires indicated where the Vexari were stationed, unaware of the storm approaching. "Remember, our goal is to disrupt their communication and force them into chaos," Feller reminded his team, his voice barely a whisper. "Stay sharp and stick to the plan." As they drew closer, the outlines of the Vexari scouts came into view. They were gathered around a fire, their alien forms illuminated by the flickering flames. Feller signaled for his team to spread out and prepare for the strike. "On my mark," he said, steadying his breath. 3, 2, 1, now." They charged into the camp, surprising the Vexari and throwing them into disarray. Weapons blazed, and the air filled with the sounds of battle. Feller fought with fierce determination, his blade slicing through the confusion as his team rallied around him. In the midst of the chaos, Feller spotted a Vexari commander trying to rally his troops. "We can't let him escape," he shouted to his team, urgency in his voice. Together, they pressed forward, forcing the Vexari back. The clash of steel and the sounds of combat echoed through the forest as they fought relentlessly. Thaler felt the adrenaline surge as they cornered the Vexari commander, cutting off his escape routes. In a final confrontation, Thaler engaged the commander, their weapons clashing with sparks flying. The Vexari warrior fought valiantly, but Thaler's determination and training gave him the upper hand. With a swift maneuver, he disarmed the enemy and struck a decisive blow, ending the Vexari commander's reign. As the remaining Vexari soldiers flooded into the darkness, Thaler stood panting, surveying the scene. His team had succeeded in disrupting their scouts and sending a clear message. They were not to be underestimated. With dawn approaching, Thaler and his team made their way back to their stronghold, ready to report their success. As they entered the base, they were met with cheers from their fellow soldiers. The bond between the Zorathians and humans had grown stronger with each battle, each victory reinforcing their unity. As Thaler stood before his allies, he felt a swell of pride. Today, we have shown the Vexari that we will not back down. Together, we will fight for our homes and our future. We are stronger than ever, and we will not rest until we have reclaimed what is rightfully ours. The warriors erupted in applause, their spirits soaring with renewed hope. They were not just fighting for survival, they were forging a legacy of resilience and unity that would echo through the ages. The resurgence of humanity and the Zorathians was just beginning, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The turning tide. As the sun rose on a new day, its warm rays bathed the stronghold in golden light. The mood was electric, filled with the energy of triumph and determination. The Zorathians and humans, now bound by shared experiences and victories, began strategizing their next moves. Commander Thaler and Captain Reynolds gathered their best minds, eager to build on their recent successes. "We need to take the fight to the Vexari," Reynolds stated firmly, laying out a map of the surrounding areas. "If we strike at their supply lines and communication centers, we can weaken their hold on this region." Thaler nodded, pointing at the map. "We've gathered intel on their movements. We can coordinate a series of raids that target their supply routes. Each strike must be swift and decisive. We can't give them a chance to regroup." Lieutenant Thompson chimed in, his excitement palpable. "We've also received word from several resistance factions. They're willing to join us in these strikes. The more we can coordinate, the greater our chances for success." "Let's not waste this momentum," Thaler replied, his eyes gleaming with determination. "We will send out scouts to meet with our allies and prepare them for coordinated attacks. This will not just be our victory. It will be a united front against the Vexari." As plans took shape, teams were assembled and sent out to connect with the various resistance groups. Days passed in a flurry of activity, training, and preparations. Warriors of all backgrounds worked side by side, united in a common cause. The spirit of camaraderie transformed the stronghold into a bustling hive of activity. Meanwhile, in a distant Vexari command center, the mood was far less optimistic. The news of the Zorathian and human victories sent ripples of panic through the ranks. The Vexari warlord, a towering figure known as Zethar, was not pleased. "They dare defy us," Zethar roared, his voice echoing in the chamber filled with lesser commanders. "We must crush this rebellion before it grows. They believe they can unite against us, but they will learn the folly of their hope." A Vexari scout stepped forward, trembling. "Warlord, the resistance is gaining strength. They are consolidating their forces and preparing for coordinated strikes against our supply lines." Zethar's eyes narrowed, anger boiling beneath his skin. "Then we must deploy more troops. We will show them the true might of the Vexari Empire. Send out scouts to locate their main base. We will hit them before they have a chance to strike." Back at the stronghold, Thaler and Reynolds reviewed their battle plans, unaware of the impending storm. The resistance factions were eager to join the fight, and a series of coordinated raids began to take shape. Each faction would strike at different locations along the Vexari supply lines, creating chaos and confusion. Tonight, we will send a team to take out one of their key supply depots, Reynolds explained, her voice filled with excitement. If we can disrupt their resources, it will weaken their forces considerably. Felor looked around the room, filled with determined faces. We must move swiftly and silently. Each team will have its own objectives, and communication is vital. If anything goes wrong, we must be ready to adapt. As night fell, the warriors donned their gear, preparing for the mission ahead. The air was thick with anticipation, and the darkness provided the perfect cover. Teams split into their designated groups, each heading toward their targets with stealth and precision. Felor led a small unit toward the Vexari supply depot nestled in a valley. The night was eerily quiet as they approached, their hearts pounding with excitement and tension. With hand signals, they coordinated their approach, keeping their movements fluid and silent. As they reached the perimeter of the depot, they could see the Vexari soldiers patrolling the area, unaware of the storm brewing around them. Felor whispered to his team, "We'll split into two groups. One will create a distraction, while the other goes for the supplies. We need to be in and out quickly." With a nod, the team moved into position. The distraction team lit a small fire at a distance, drawing the attention of the Vexari guards. As the guards moved away, Felor and his team crept into the depot, quickly locating crates filled with weapons and supplies. "Grab what you can," Felor urged, urgency in his voice. They worked quickly, loading their packs with the much-needed resources, but just as they were about to leave, a loud alarm blared through the night. "Quick, we have to move," Reynolds shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. They darted back toward the exit, but Vexari guards were already rushing toward them. Felor's heart raced as he shouted commands, coordinating their escape. "Cover me. I'll hold them off." He faced the approaching guards, his weapon drawn, ready to defend his team. The clash was fierce, and the sounds of battle echoed through the valley. Felor fought with all his might, blocking and countering the Vexari attacks, but he could feel the weight of the odds against him. Reynolds and the others made it to safety, but Felor stayed behind to ensure their escape. "Go. I'll catch up," he yelled, refusing to leave his team behind. As they disappeared into the darkness, Felor fought valiantly, taking down several Vexari guards. But he was soon overwhelmed. Just as it seemed he would be captured, a blast of energy shot through the air, striking a nearby Vexari soldier. To his surprise, Catelyn appeared, having followed their trail to provide backup. "Felor, over here," she shouted, covering him with her weapon. Felor took the chance and sprinted toward her, dodging enemy fire as he did. "Let's move," Felor urged, and together they retreated into the night, fighting their way back toward the stronghold. As they regrouped with the rest of the team, they carried with them not only supplies but also valuable intelligence about the Vexari operations. Their successful raid would be a turning point in the struggle, and with the resources they acquired, they would bolster their forces for the battles to come. Back at the stronghold, the mood was triumphant. "We did it," Reynolds exclaimed as they shared the news with their allies. "We've disrupted their supply lines, and we have the materials to strengthen our defenses." Felor, breathing heavily but filled with pride, raised his weapon high. "This is just the beginning. Together, we are reclaiming our world, and we will not rest until the Vexari know the strength of our unity. We will show them that when hope is ignited, it can burn brighter than any darkness." The warriors erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring with renewed hope and determination. They were no longer just a band of survivors. They were a united force, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The tide was turning, and with each victory, they grew stronger in their fight for freedom. The call to arms. The stronghold buzzed with anticipation as news of their successful raid spread. The warriors, once scattered and fearful, had transformed into a united front. Plans were made, strategies discussed, and an unwavering spirit of determination surged through every soldier. They were ready to take the fight to the Vexari, no longer waiting for the enemy to strike first. Commander Thaler stood at the front of the gathering, his presence commanding respect. Today marks a turning point in our struggle. We've proven that we can disrupt the Vexari's grip on this land, he began, his voice resonating with conviction. But we must be prepared for their retaliation. They will not take our victories lightly. Captain Reynolds stepped forward, her eyes shining with resolve. We must rally our allies and spread the word of our victories. Every resistance faction needs to know that we are fighting for their freedom. Together, we can form an unstoppable coalition. The warriors cheered, fueled by the fiery passion ignited within them. Thaler continued, I will send envoys to the nearby settlements, urging them to join our cause. We need every willing hand if we are to take the fight to the Vexari's stronghold. As the day wore on, teams were formed, each tasked with specific missions. Some would head to neighboring settlements to gather support, while others would prepare for the next series of attacks on the Vexari supply routes. The atmosphere was electric, and the sense of purpose invigorated every soldier. Thaler decided to lead the team that would go to the nearby town of Eldrin. It was known for its skilled fighters and resources, and he believed they could make a significant impact in the coming battles. He gathered his most trusted allies, including Reynolds and Callan, to join him on the mission. Let's move swiftly, Thaler instructed as they prepared to depart. We need to convey the urgency of our fight and the strength of our alliance. If Eldrin sees what we've accomplished, they will want to join us. As they journeyed toward Eldrin, they encountered various resistance groups along the way. Thaler made sure to engage with each faction, sharing the news of their victories and inspiring hope in those who had lost it. The message was clear. Together, they could reclaim their world from the Vexari. When they finally reached Eldrin, the town was bustling with activity. The residents eyed the newcomers with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Thaler and his team approached the town square, where a gathering of townsfolk had assembled, eager to hear what these warriors had to say. People of Eldrin, Thaler called out, his voice steady and commanding. We come not as conquerors, but as allies. Together, we have struck a blow against the Vexari and proven that their tyranny can be challenged. Reynolds stepped forward, her passion igniting the crowd. Our victories have shown us that hope is not lost. If we stand together, we can build a force strong enough to drive the Vexari from our lands. Join us in this fight for freedom. The townsfolk exchanged glances, uncertain but intrigued. Callan spoke up, sharing stories of the battles they had fought and the alliances they had forged. We are not alone in this struggle. We fight for our families, our homes, and our future. With your strength added to ours, we can achieve victory. After much discussion, an elder stepped forward, his voice weary yet filled with determination. We have suffered under the Vexari for too long. If you promise to stand with us, then we will join your cause. Together, we shall reclaim our freedom. Cheers erupted from the crowd as the people of Eldrin rallied behind Thaler and his team. This newfound alliance was a crucial step forward in their fight, and the strength of their unity filled the air with hope. As the sun set over Eldrin, illuminating the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple, Thaler gathered his allies for a strategy meeting. Now that we have Eldrin on our side, we must prepare for the next phase of our campaign. We will coordinate a series of attacks against the Vexari strongholds, targeting their leadership and infrastructure. Reynolds nodded in agreement. With the combined forces of Eldrin and the resistance factions, we can strike at the heart of their operations. It's time to show the Vexari the true power of united forces. The team began plotting their course of action, utilizing maps and intel gathered over the past weeks. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as they crafted a plan that would leverage their newfound strength. Meanwhile, back at the Vexari Command Center, Warlord Zethar was reeling from the news of the growing resistance. His scouts had reported the alliance forming among the humans and Zorathians, and his frustration boiled over. They think they can unite against us. Zethar sneered, slamming his fist on the table. We will show them that defiance only leads to destruction. Gather our best troops. We will strike down this alliance before it grows any stronger. His commanders shifted uneasily, knowing the stakes were higher than ever. The Vexeri had underestimated the spirit of the people they sought to subjugate, and now they were facing a united front fueled by hope and determination. Back in Eldrin, as Fiddler and his team finalized their plans, they felt the weight of their mission. The dawn of a new chapter loomed on the horizon, and with it, the promise of freedom and a brighter future. Together, we will rise, Fiddler declared, his voice echoing in the room. The warriors raised their weapons high, united in purpose and spirit, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. The fight was far from over, but they had ignited a flame of resistance that would not be easily extinguished. Together, they would stand strong against the Vexari and fight for a brighter tomorrow. The final stand. The air was thick with tension as the Allied forces prepared for their assault on the Vexari stronghold. Fiddler, Reynolds, Callan, and the leaders of Eldrin stood at the forefront of their assembled troops, each fighter representing hope, courage, and a burning desire for freedom. They had trained hard, gathered resources, and forged a unity that was both inspiring and formidable. As dawn broke, casting a golden hue over the horizon, Fiddler addressed the assembled warriors. Today is the day we show the Vexari what we are made of. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every soul they have oppressed. This battle will determine our future. The warriors cheered, their voices echoing across the battlefield. They were ready to face whatever the Vexari would throw at them. With hearts full of determination, they marched toward the enemy stronghold, a fortress looming ominously on the horizon. The closer they got, the more the atmosphere shifted. The Vexari had fortified their defenses, and as they approached, Fiddler spotted patrols moving along the walls. The sense of dread hung in the air, but the unity among the Allied forces was palpable. Fiddler signaled for a halt. We need a plan. The Vexari will expect us to come at them head-on, so we must use our numbers to our advantage. We'll split into two groups. One will create a distraction, and the other will breach the main gate. Reynolds nodded, her voice steady. I'll lead the distraction team. We'll draw their attention to the east, allowing the main force to strike from the west. Callan chimed in. That's a good plan, but we must be quick. Once the alarm is raised, the Vexari will be on high alert. We need to act fast and decisively. With the plan set, the forces divided into their respective teams. Feller felt a surge of pride as he watched the fighters rally around Reynolds, and he knew that their success depended on their ability to work together and trust each other. As they reached their positions, the sound of battle drums echoed from the stronghold, signaling they had noticed their approach. The air crackled with energy, anticipation building as they prepared to make their move. Now, shouted, and the distraction team surged forward, unleashing a barrage of arrows and explosives at the eastern wall. The Vexari soldiers scrambled to respond, confusion spreading through their ranks. This was the moment had been waiting for. He rallied his main force and charged forward, leading them toward the western gate. As they neared the entrance, they could see the enemy scrambling to organize a defense. The element of surprise was on their side. Feller and his warriors broke through the gate with a powerful clash, the sound of metal ringing out as they clashed with the defenders. The fight was fierce, but the Allied forces pushed forward with relentless determination. Fight for your freedom, Feller shouted as he engaged in combat, his sword cutting through the chaos. The warriors fought bravely, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they were fighting for a cause greater than themselves. As Reynolds' distraction team kept the Vexari occupied on the eastern front, Callan led a small group toward the heart of the stronghold. Their goal was clear: eliminate the Vexari leadership and cripple their command structure. We need to find Warlord Zethar, Callan yelled over the clashing sounds of battle. If we can take him down, we'll demoralize the remaining forces. They pushed deeper into the stronghold, navigating through narrow corridors filled with the sounds of combat. Every step brought them closer to their target. Kaelin could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, driving her forward with fierce determination. Back on the battlefield, Thaler fought alongside his warriors, pushing the Vexuri back. The tide was turning, and he could see the resolve in his fighters' eyes. They had come too far to turn back now. Just as he was about to deliver a powerful strike, a Vexuri soldier lunged at him, attempting to catch him off guard. Thaler sidestepped, delivering a swift kick that sent the soldier sprawling. He felt a rush of energy as he realized that their unified front was breaking the enemy's will. Meanwhile, Kaelin's team burst into the command chamber, where Warlord Zethar stood with his commanders, disbelief written on his face. "How did you get in here?" he demanded, his voice dripping with venom. Kaelin didn't hesitate. "Your reign of terror ends here." She charged forward, her weapon raised high, and the others followed suit. A fierce battle erupted within the chamber, the clash of steel ringing out as they fought against Zethar's guards. The odds were against them, but Kaelin's spirit was unyielding. She felt the weight of her allies' hopes on her shoulders, and she refused to let them down. Outside, the battle raged on, but the allied forces were gaining ground. Thaler could see the Vexuri's defenses faltering, and he pushed forward with renewed vigor. "For freedom," he cried, rallying his warriors to continue the assault. With a final, desperate move, Kaelin faced Warlord Zethar, their blades clashing violently. Zethar was powerful and experienced, but Kaelin fought with the strength of every person who had suffered under his rule. "Your time is over, Zethar," she shouted, channeling all her fury into a final strike. With one swift movement, she disarmed him and delivered a blow that sent him crashing to the ground. The room fell silent as Zethar lay defeated, and the tide of the battle shifted decisively. Outside the command chamber, the remaining Vexuri soldiers hesitated, their leader defeated. Thaler seized the moment, pushing his advantage. "Now is our time. Push forward." The allied forces surged, overpowering the Vexuri defenders and claiming victory. As the last of the Vexuri fell, a roar of triumph erupted from the warriors. They had done it. They had taken back their stronghold. Thaler and Kaelin reunited, their faces beaming with pride. "We did it," Thaler exclaimed, and Kaelin nodded, breathless from the battle. "We fought for each other," Kaelin replied, her heart swelling with emotion. "We fought for our future." As the sun set behind the mountains, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, the Allied forces celebrated their hard-won victory. They had proven that even in the darkest of times, hope could rise from the ashes, and together, they could achieve the impossible. With Warlord Zethar captured and their enemy in disarray, the future was bright for the coalition of warriors. They would rebuild, reclaiming their homes, and ensuring that no one would ever face the darkness of tyranny again. As night fell, Thaler looked out at the stars, knowing that this was just the beginning of a new chapter. United, they would stand strong, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, forever marked by their victory and the strength they had found in each other.